So thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to come back here for my, I don't even know, probably a 20th time now. So thank you to BTO for inviting me once again. And lately, I only come at one condition, and that is I don't want to talk all by myself because I already talk too much. So we got two friends today with me, and let me introduce you to Romy, founder and CEO of Lobby. Romy, thank you so much. Can you tell me a little more about yourself today?
Perfect. Yes, so as said, my name is Romy.
Test.
I'm from Liechtenstein, CEO and co-founder of Lobby. From matter of fact, I actually grew up in a hotel and pretty much worked in every position there. So I scrubbed the floor, I did housekeeping, I did the front desk, the back office, accounting. But unfortunately for my parents, I did not take over the hotel, so I became a software engineer. And I was working previously in banking, so I'm gapping really this hotel tech in its real world.
Thank you so much, Romy. And then we got Alessio Re, co-founder with me of Legia, an orchestrator for AI implementation in the hospitality space, and many, many other things. Alessio, can you say a couple of words about yourself?
First off, thank you all for being here. I come from a data security background, and this is like a particular perspective that I bring to the hospitality world. I've been working in hospitality for, well, the good part of the last 20 years, initially with marketing and advertising, and then like trying to make all data play nice together. And that's one of the reasons I co-founded Allegio together with Simone, because like we had like lots of requests from customers about this, and we saw that it was not very clear to everybody on how to make this all work together. So this is also what the presentation is going to be about, from advertising and marketing on one side all the way to operations that Romy will talk about. Thank you.
Very good. And then it's me, but I'm not going to introduce myself. If you know me, you know me. If you don't, it's probably better. So we just go to the next slide. Again, for the ones that didn't take the picture before, this is the last chance you do have. And if you don't take the picture, you do not scan the QR code, you cannot answer the questions. Ready? So this presentation will be 10 minutes of presentation and 45 minutes of you showing the QR code, okay? Okay, let's start with the first question, guys. Do you know what zero-click is? Have you ever heard this word, zero-click? So we got a few answers here. It could be an incognito-made browser. Somebody's changing their mind, as I see. And yeah, okay. We got one guy, two people are very convinced that zero-click is a browser. Very good. That is why we are here. And I would say we can go on. Oh, bravi. I'm pretty sure I know who this guy is. Anyway. Yeah, the right answer is when users get an answer directly inside a conversational platform, such as ChatGPT or such as Google with AI overview and so forth. So it's a new paradigm of the web where you can actually get information without clicking on any single website, right? And I'm pretty sure that if you are familiar at least with ChatGPT, you start to experience that as well, right? Information that before were on website and you had to go through multiple links to get that information. Now it's there instantaneously, directly inside the platform, right? Now, this is great, of course, because it opens a lot of new opportunity for us, but it also opens a lot of challenges because now we're seeing more and more people getting the info directly from the platform and not going on the website. Meaning that if you take a look at your Google Analytics, and I strongly suggest you to do that when you come back home, probably over the last 6 months, you saw a drop in your traffic. And this is not because people, they don't like you anymore. It is really because they're getting the answer inside a conversational platform. So before I ask you the question, I'm going to ask you another small one, and that is, do you know today, and the data, I think the data we're using are European data, right?
That is European data, yeah.
So do you know in Europe how many Google searches already end without clicking? So people searching for something on Google, but then not going to any website. 10%, 25%, 60%? Okay, this is more divisive, as I can see. And yes, you're right. The right answer is more than 60%, actually. I think it's 60.2%, something like that. So it means that 6 searches out of 10 will not go to a website. This is especially true for informational search, for example, but it's really changing the paradigm of the web. So the first question is for you, Alessio. How do you imagine our industry in what I call a post-search world?
Well, I don't really have to imagine it because this is what we are already seeing. So basically, we are like having a shift that travelers, so far, they were looking for a hotel in some place, and they will like Google for a hotel like a 4-star hotel in Florence or something like it. On Google, then they will like find the results, which will be maybe the official website, maybe OTAs, so on and so forth. Now they're no longer asking. They're no longer searching. They're asking like ChatGPT, they're asking Perplexity, Gemini with like Google's instant AI answers. And so that's the thing. The question will be, find me a 4-star hotel in Florence with good coffee and a great view on the city. The AI goes, now finds what it finds for reasons that we will tackle on later. But you have a conversation. You will get an answer, and then like the agent will come back to you and like clarify your ideas. You might be, okay, like great, I love these options that you proposed me, but this is my budget. They are over this budget, and you will get like another answer. Basically, this means that all the discovery phase that before was happening on Google and then was happening on your website, was happening on the OTAs and Booking and Expedia and so on and so forth. Now it all happens within the agent. It happens within ChatGPT's client, it happens in Claude, it happens in one place. This becomes a gatekeeper. So basically, your search, your conversation starts there, it evolves, and ideally it will end there. Like the booking will end there without the client ever leaving this agent. So it means that
it's a one-stop shop, basically.
it's
What we
basically,
call a one-stop shop.
Yeah, it's basically going to be a one-stop shop, and they will own like both the intent and they will own the transaction. So what this means for you is that the hotel website so far was a destination. They will like search on Google for that. Your customer will find you, or an OTA will find you, and then they will go and peruse your website. This will no longer happen because like the transformation will be that your website becomes a source, and hopefully an authoritative source. So what you have on the website now was made to impress the potential customer. You wanted to give them the information, you wanted to showcase your best sites, you wanted to show them pictures, and so on. But the transformation is that like it will no longer be the customer, it will be an AI agent, it will be a model. So the trick here is that you have to make it so that these models will be able to read what you are like giving them. And this means that you no longer need to just write good, convincing text, good, convincing copy. You will have to make this data structured and open in such a way that these agents will be able to connect to you and like get all the relevant info. This means the usual ARI. It means descriptions of your rooms. It means your availability. It means your rates, your pricing, and so on. If you don't give this to the models, well, somebody else will. And that's going to be like mostly the OTAs, or worse yet, it could be hallucinations. Like customers could get answers that are fake, they don't really exist. And
or, if I may, there's also a case where I will call it an availability hallucination. Meaning, let's say you're working with a very obscure OTA or a reseller, and you updated your information like 15 years ago. So I'm pretty sure this information will not be up to date, right? Now, if for whatever reason that model will get that as a source of the information, now you can have an answer that is factual, is correct, but it's just completely outdated. It was something that it was true 20 years ago, right? So I would say that a due diligence of your brand visibility today is more important than ever, Because up until 6 months ago, if you had a wrong result in the 7th page of Google, it was not a big problem. Today, that content can actually be the first answer inside the conversational platform.
That is correct, and that's why what you need to give these models, what you need to feed these models, as a hotelier or as somebody who runs any kind of business, really. This is we're talking about hotels here because we are at BTO, but this is not very different if you were running an e-commerce or anything else. So the additional risk compared to other fields, to other verticals, is that you run an e-commerce selling shoes. You might lose to competitors because you're not connected properly to the AI agents, so customers cannot discover your product, they cannot purchase your product. It's not good. They will maybe buy a competitor's product. But what happens here with hotels is that if you cannot connect and if you cannot feed the models your data, Booking.com or Expedia will feed it. So they become, again and again, the distributors for your product.
Hold that thought, though, because I have a question for that later, and I want Romy to answer that. Is everything clear so far, guys? Okay? And this is why, we got a close friend in the audience. He's just sitting now, and he knows a lot about SEO, of course. He's the SEO expert. And we're talking more and more about GEO and AIO, so Generative Engine Optimization, how to optimize your website and your content for generative platforms, and how to organize and optimize your content for answer machines, basically. Now, this is what is happening organically. But of course, if nobody's clicking on the organic results, they're not even clicking on the paid results, meaning that this will change the way you do advertising. So, again, a little question for you. Maybe. Looks like I cannot use my pointer. Can you just go to the next slide, please? I don't know. The problem with every time we talk about artificial intelligence, I get a problem with technology. I don't know why. It's just the machine's rebelling. Okay, very good. So we know now that we lost around 60% of traffic to organic search. Now, how much traffic do you think we lost on paid ads? So Google AI Overview was launched in the US last year, and it was introduced in Europe 6 months ago, something like that, if I remember correctly.
Even less. It's been last month.
Last month,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
And so basically, and you see it, when you go on Google now, usually you do not have the usual 10 blue links. You got an answer directly inside the search engine result page, right? And so after the introduction of Google AI Overview, we're seeing a drop in clicks in paid campaigns. That it's good in one sense because we're spending less money on advertisement, but it's not very good in another sense because now we cannot get the traffic. So it doubled over 50% and less than 10%. Again, you're totally right. The right answer is 50%, okay? Meaning, and this is very important because let's say you're running a campaign with your advertisement company, you're doing internally or you're doing through an agency. Basically, you could see a visible drop in revenue and a visible drop in traffic coming from these campaigns. This doesn't mean that the campaigns are not working. This just means that the behavior of the user is changing. So you need to take this into consideration, and probably when you're looking at your KPIs for next year, you need to take this into consideration to reevaluate your goals. So I got another question for you, and that is, so we know that a lot of this advertisement today is going to be cannibalized by AI overview, right? So generative engines. What can we do? Can we advertise inside Google AI Overview, for example, or inside Perplexity?
So the answer here is a bit complicated. It's yes and no. We are at the very beginning of the advertising, we are at the very beginning of the advertising path when it comes to AI agents. And I want to talk about the three major players. So Google, of course, by far, ChatGPT and Perplexity.
But by the way, do you all know Perplexity, right? Okay.
Perplexity is basically an AI agent that is born as a replacement for traditional search engines. It's not the proper chatbot like we're used to with ChatGPT or like Claude and like Microsoft Copilot. It's a destination, a website where you go, you ask for questions like you will do on Google, but then you also get answers like you will get from ChatGPT. So you can think of it as some sort of a hybrid between like a regular search engine and a chatbot. So to get back to your question, the answer is yes and no, because like on Google, you still have advertising the way it used to be. Like nothing changed really. Google Ads still works the way it did before. The difference is that, as you, Simone, were mentioning, whenever like AI overviews are actually used, we found a 50% drop in actual clicks. The number of impressions stays the same because people still see your advertising, but like since very often they already have a good answer, they don't really need to click through. So the click-through rate has been going down by about 50%. Now, this is not specific to hospitality, and this is not specific to brand searches, for example. It's an average of all fields, but from my own personal data, we are not far from that, just slightly less, or just over 40%. And that's Google. Probably we will have
It's still a big number. I mean, it's 40% less traffic that you're getting through your paid campaigns.
Yes. I assume that Google will find a way to advertise somehow in AI overviews too, but this is like a very tricky proposition because you cannot give answers which are too skewed by advertisers paying. ChatGPT then? ChatGPT, as you all know, using it every day, does not have any sort of advertising. They're actually piloting in the US some contextual advertising, which is reserved to just some very big pilots and tests. Nobody, as far as I know, in the hospitality world. I assume that we will see something public next year, forecast like middle next year. Perplexity is doing something similar to ChatGPT. So what they're doing is not advertising the way we know it, but they are going to promote subsequent like questions. Like, for example, you will ask, going back to the initial question, like, hotel in Florence, 4 stars with a swimming pool and a nice view. You will get an answer from Perplexity, link in other websites and all that, and then you will see next suggested question, and the next suggested question could be something that you pay for. Something, I don't know, what do you think about Hilton? And this sort of thing. So we are not there yet. This is going to be reserved to very big chains initially, which is what Perplexity is working on now too. And I believe that next year we will actually see this happening. And the moment it happens, if you're not there and we don't have our data, we don't have our pricing, yeah, the OTAs are going to eat our lunch once more.
And all that thought again, because I'm going to ask you that question later.
Right.
You always want to go back to the OTA. We're going to talk about it later. Okay. Do you know what agentic AI is? So this is something if you walk around, you will see a lot of companies talking about AI, a lot of companies talking about agentic AI. But in my view, I think it's still a misunderstood concept. An AI that can make autonomous decisions and take actions. Very good. Do you have experience with some level of agentic AI? Do you use, for example, ChatGPT agentic? Never? Well, I give you a good example. Do you have a paid account for ChatGPT? Raise your hands. So one thing that you do, basically, this is something that I always do. Like whenever I come back from these events, I want to get in touch with a bunch of people that I met. So maybe I have a bunch of business cards, and now I need to go on LinkedIn and just connect to each other, right? Now, basically, what you can do, you can take a picture of all the business cards. You can give it to ChatGPT. If you go down, there are 3 little dots. You can click on that and switch to agentic mode and ask, go on LinkedIn, find these people, send them a connection request with this message, and the platform will do it for you. So you will see that it will create a browser inside ChatGPT. It will open on LinkedIn. The first time you will need to connect to LinkedIn, to sign in, and then it will do this for you. Okay, this is a typical possible application of agentic AI, using it to do something else, right? And so the question, this is for Romy, because the thing with agentic AI to me is that it completely changes the way we book, because actually we're outsourcing our bookings to artificial intelligence. Because up until now, the first part of the presentation is basically we talk to an artificial intelligence, the artificial intelligence will give us an answer, but now we still need to go and book somewhere else. And it could be booking.com, it could be brand.com, it could be Expedia, whatever. With agentic AI, it's slightly different. I do it for restaurant, for example. I just ask ChatGPT, book me this restaurant for tonight. And you know what happened is basically it will open the browser inside ChatGPT. It will go usually on the fork and will make the booking for me, right? So the problem is, and there are two different line of thoughts here. You know, the ones that think that if you outsource the booking process to an AI, the AI will go on brand.com, official website. There's another school of thought that think that the AI, because of the way they think, they will get the data where the data are more structured, as Alessio was saying. So it's probably easier than an agentic AI will book on booking.com rather than go to brand.com because your official website is not being built for AIs. So this is a $1 million question. I'm so sorry you start with this. But who do you think will be the winner? Official website, brand.com, or OTAs?
So I don't think it's a black and white answer to this. I actually look at it more as an evolution. So if we're looking at OTAs today, they have all the aggregated data. They actually put everything live. They have the inventory, they have the bandwidth, they have the users. Important as well, they have loyalty programs, some of them, right? So I strongly believe in a very first step that they also will dominate, again, this search. But as said once, because there's also another aspect to it, right? It's not only OTAs or brand.com. We need to have our systems that they're basically opened, right? We need to have, we're talking maybe also about this later on, right? A bit more in terms of MCP service and all of these things, but today we're not there yet. Most of the tech providers are not opened enough to actually provide this availability. We're calling this ARI, availability rates and inventory, to agents to actually do the bookings. So that's where OTAs today have a really big, a strong pace, right? They can book. They've been doing this for the longest time. I'm really, for the brand.com, I'm really looking at booking engines more as like the driving force. So they're going to be the first movers. I highly doubt that PMS providers are going to be really the ones providing this because, of course, they've never really exposed their thing directly to the user, right? So depends a bit on the PMS provider, right? Some have booking engines. So I'm looking into this direction, but again, not black and white. I think it's a wave, and it's also all about like who's going to be the next agent, or let's say agents provide a booking agent that will basically dominate that to a certain extent, or basically make this more of like a bigger solution. But for now, I think we're a bit doomed with OTAs from my perspective.
Do you think that to a certain extent this will be a similar evolution that we saw with meta search engines? Because I don't know if you remember, but 10 years ago, meta search was only for big chains, basically, and OTAs. You could not advertise on TripAdvisor, you could not advertise on Trivago directly, right? And at the very beginning, that was a problem because, you know, meta search engines removed a lot of the friction in the booking process, right? And little by little, independent properties, booking engine, PMS, CRM, they were able to connect. Do you think that we're looking at a similar logic where OTAs will be the first one to provide availability rates and inventory to AI models, and then it will open also to brand.com?
Totally. I am a strong believer in that. I also think the more people get educated and the more hotels get educated in general, like with you guys, for example, they will understand how to basically adapt certain parts of their own websites to actually be more searchable. I just give you a very good example of Lobby, our own company, right? We got approached, or basically we're signing a contract with a very, very big enterprise client, and how did they found out about us? They did ChatGPT deep search. And it's incredible, really. Like, they couldn't find anything in their vertical, so they found something in the hospitality vertical. And it's just a very good example. Like, we are like a small startup, right? But if you have been actually like really taking care of your websites, it's gonna be really like powerful for you, because suddenly now we are back into step 0, democratization. Like, you can get a lot out of it if you're doing now the work and you're getting ahead of whatever the OTAs are doing. But again, booking itself, it's going to be maybe a bit difficult in the beginning.
Another suggestion that I give you, if you haven't done it yet, when you come back, just open your Google Analytics and check under referrals how many traffic you're getting from ChatGPT referral. and it's becoming quite a lot. Okay, so people that, like yourself, got in touch with your brand the first time not on a classical search engine, but on a generative search engine. So that's a pretty interesting angle. Okay, very good. Another question for you. This is not a yes and no question. Is do you already use some AI tools in your day-to-day operations? Because we talk a little bit about the change in behavior from the guest, from the user, retail, in travel, but operational-wise, what is changing? We got 7 people already using AI, very good. 4 people experimenting, 2 people that they're planning, and 2, 3, 4 ludists, people that they don't want to have anything to do with AI. Okay, very good. Look, Romy, we had this conversation, and I think the first time we met, you told me that, and it really resonated with me because you said something, and I could be misquoting you. So sorry for that. But you say something like, in the future, we could have hotels run by one single person, one-person hotel. What do you meant by that?
So of course, this is in theory, right? We have to still, we still have to segregate. I would say, like what type of hotel, like you were saying before, the small family boutique hotel in Florence. Yes, potentially, right? Talking about bigger conference hotels, no. But there is this concept of digital workers. There's the concept of, again, agentic AI, AI assistants, and there are really 3 parts to it in order for this actually to work. And again, here you're actually seeing like what we're doing at Lobby, right? It's really building AI assistants for very specific niche place. So there are 2 ways. One is we have today a lot of like generic solution like chatbots, etc. They are helping on like several like communication parts. But what we are really looking forward is to actually provide digital workers in places where it's very difficult to find sometimes even skilled workers, or which actually bring a lot of revenue, but you're not exploiting it to a certain extent. For us, it's group bookings, right? At our hotel, we couldn't find any qualified staff. But then secondly, we also had so many group bookings, and because there were no skilled staff, we couldn't do these group bookings. So we're losing a lot of revenue due to that. And hence,
if I may, sorry if I interrupt, because we always think about, big destinations. It's pretty easy to find good labor in Florence. I've been to a client a few weeks ago in Fiac, and maybe a lot of you, they don't even know where the place is. It's a 1-hour drive from Toulouse. It's impossible to find good labor. So it's at some point, I think this will become a necessity to have some level of digital workers.
Totally, exactly. And that's basically where we are tapping in. So today I can see 3 main parts to how to enable basically this one-person hotel. Number 1 is opening up the systems. Again, tech vendors, it's on our side, we can't really, we are the ones enabling you guys. But then secondly, chatbots are not going to solve the issues. It's going to be really sophisticated solutions that can plug into your existing tech stack, let's say like that. And then thirdly, how do humans work with machines? So what do I mean with that? Is we have sometimes the perception that we're going to plug this AI in and it's going to run magically everything. But it's actually not the case. We need to understand where are our bottlenecks, where do we want to have automation, and always as a rule of thumb, 80% automation, 20% manual. This is in general just the case. And now, again, another thing I want to challenge here is why 20% of manual still is today, humanity has created a lot of complexity, also in terms of how we create rate plans alone. We have customers.
Yeah.
I'm looking at rate plans, 300 rate plans, and I'm like, why do you need them?
This is the revenue manager's fault. Yeah. Are there any revenue managers here? Just leave the room, please. Just leave the freaking room. You're always the problem.
So in the end, basically, of course, if it's for you guys difficult to do your job, then for the AI agent, it's also going to be difficult. So we're looking at these 20% as the chaos that we created in our world. But with the new generation coming, Gen Z, Gen Zs basically, who are already much simpler in how they approach things, we strongly believe they also will embrace this in a different way, and they will also change how the business is going to run. But to be short, there is going to be the possibility to have a one-person hotel, definitely. What type of hotel? Still doubting. And of course, we need much more sophisticated solutions that really do effective work for the hotel.
Okay. Whenever we talk about artificial intelligence, there is a term that floats around, and usually it's not really explained. So I don't know if you ever heard about a concept called humans in, on, and out of the loop. Do you know what I'm talking about? I think we got only a couple of answers here. Because I don't like the whole narrative about chatbot, for example, or there's another narrative that is going around and it drives me nuts, is the fact that artificial intelligence is going to solve all the problems. Artificial intelligence is pretty much free. You can buy it with like a Netflix subscription. Not the case. Tokenization is crazily expensive. A lot of the people talking about that, they never work with a model, so they don't know what they're talking about. And it needs API integration and the level of the quality of the documentation of the API integration. So the way I like to talk about artificial intelligence, and if you read my article, you know that it's never really about chatbots or AI or anything else. It's really about digital workers and how much the digital worker will work together with the human. And when we talk about the loop, this is exactly what we're talking about. So for the last, I would say 70 years, because artificial intelligence is something that started in 50s last century. It's not like 3 years ago. For 70 years, we will always been in what we call humans in the loop approach. So we got artificial intelligence, or it can be automation, it can be RPA, that helps us. Typical example, a revenue manager will use a system. This system will help aggregating the data, doing some data crunching, and maybe giving some suggestion, but still the big work will be done by the human. Then we got what is called the human on the loop, meaning the artificial intelligence will do pretty much all the work, and the human will only overview the work. In revenue management, this is, for example, an RMS that will analyze all the micro nuances of the market, will give you a rate strategy, an inventory strategy, a distribution strategy, and will apply it directly. But before applying, it will ask the permission to the human. So the human here will just supervise, overview the work. And then there is the last one, it's what we call the humans out of the loop. And again, if we make the example with revenue management, it's a revenue management system that will analyze the data, suggest a strategy, and implement the strategy. So basically, once that artificial intelligence has all the information, it will put that rate inside the PMS directly without any supervision, okay? This is what we mean when we talk about humans in, on, and out of the loop. So I think it's an interesting answer. I actually wanted to give you the answer directly with my clone, but the audio is not working for whatever reason. Again, problem with AI, it's usually low tech. But I will send you, if you ask me there, I will send you a link with it's whispering, so it's not me. Okay, we're almost at the end, and I think this is a very important question to ask you, and this is because like 7, 8 people, they told me that you're already using some level of artificial intelligence in your operation, and that's great. But I don't think it's the right question. I think you should, believe it or not, and I know this is counterintuitive, but I think you need to forget about artificial intelligence for a little bit, and you need to start thinking about getting ready for artificial intelligence. So my next question would be, do you know if your tech stack, your PMS, booking engine, channel manager, CRM, marketing automation platform, reputation management platform, whatever, is AI ready? Meaning, do you know if you can connect an LLM, for example, to your PMS? And if you do not know, have you started doing some level of due diligence in AI? What is the one in the middle? I cannot see. Okay, we got a lot of trolls. So we got 3 people that actually done some level of due diligence, and the rest is basically is not doing. Again, a lot of you know me, and you know I don't have any interest in saying this. I run 4 AI companies, so basically, if you all use AI 100%, it's better for me. But the message here is forget about AI. All the level of AI we do have now are too expensive to replace humans. What you need to focus on right now is your tech stack ready to do what you want to do, okay? So think less in terms of last mile, what chatbot can I use, and think more in terms of, is my ecosystem ready to connect some level of artificial intelligence? And to solve that problem, there is another acronym that has been around for a while now, and I don't know if you ever heard about that, and that is MCP. Do you know what MCP is? Raise your hands. Okay, that's what I imagine. And that is the most important thing you need to know. If you learn one thing from this conversation, is what MCP is. So Romy, I'm going to start with you again. Can you tell me a little more what MCP is?
Or would you want
Do you want to start with the...
I was talking the whole time.
I can do that.
Yeah.
So basically, a little backstory. We've all been using like chatbots, especially ChatGPT, in the last 2.5 years. But they are kind of an enclosed world. We have no way to communicate with them and to give them our data, which is so important for the reasons that I mentioned before. That was the case until about a year ago. Anthropic, which is the maker of Claude, which is another leading chatbot, introduced MCP, as Simone mentioned, which means Model Context Protocol. Now, we're not here to discuss technicalities, but like what you need to know is that this is a layer which basically acts as a translator between your systems and the large language models. Basically, MCP is something that allows the models to fetch your pricing, to fetch like the characteristics of your rooms and anything that you want to communicate to the models. Some of this stuff is coming into the model because you made your website in a certain way with like structured data. So the models have got their spiders, they go around, they get this data. But some of the data cannot be found this way. ARI, as Romy was mentioning, is the first and foremost example. Now, you do not need to be interested in the technicalities, but what you do need to know is if the stack that you have, the tech stack that you have, can be interfaced with LLM through MCP. Again, as Romy was saying, most likely your PMS will not be interfaced anytime soon. Maybe the booking engine. In any case, like you guys all have like different like tech products. Your stack is made of tens of different tools. We all know this. It's a mess. But you have to come up with a strategy, and you have to actually talk to your providers, ask them, hey, do you support MCP? Do you have any plans regarding the integration with AI in the next months? And the point is that you have to do it now. Now, it's still early, but within 18 to 24 months, I will say, if you don't do this, it's not going to end up in a pretty way for you. And this is all about connection, and this is about like talking to your providers. And this is mostly for the marketing side of things, but on to Romy for all the things.
Yeah, Romy, that is like we had a lot of conversation we cannot talk about, but you know, integrating system with lobby is always a struggle, right?
Yes, and I guess most of you, if you hear the word integration, when you get a new tech provider, you're like, oh no, costs a lot, and it's super tedious, and it takes time, and all of these things. Well, MCP is a way to communicate much more easily between different services. So in the future, it doesn't really matter which type of system you would get. It could just interface within a second, basically, with another one, right?
Would be the dream. Basically, it's plug-and-play integration. This is what we've been talking about, an agnostic industry, finally.
Exactly, and this is a dream for hospitality. This is a dream, I think, for you guys. It's a dream also for us tech providers. Why? Because just like Lobby, we are really dependent on integrations. We have found a way to build integrations on scale. We are very fast on it. Of course, we're using super sophisticated technology to do so. And at the same time, we are very happy once MCP is there. Now, the thing with, I guess, also like responding a bit to the whole tech silos, I think that's where the whole like aspect of tech silos goes in. It's today, when I ask some of the hotels, like, why did you choose this provider, or why did you choose, I don't know, this booking engine, and I get the response, well, it kind of was the best thing that was integrated with my PMS, and so that's why I took it. And it's like, I get it, it's a pain, But I really want to urge everyone to rethink, like, where do you guys want to go in the next 3 to 5 years? Like, really, what's your plan? What are your bottlenecks? Are you like a hotel that has a lot of like WhatsApp communication? Do you have a lot of emails? Are you mice heavy? Find really what is your revenue channel that you have not been exploiting so far, and then really tap into this and understand what's, and of course, this is now a big thing, but you know, guys like Simone and Alex, they're here to actually help you on this because it's a big topic. But now, just back to textiles, I think there are really four parts. One, again, opening up systems. But then also, I mean, secondly as well is just setting your goals. I mean, tech silos is one thing, but we're always like, oh, you know, the tech providers, they're not giving us the data, they're not doing this. But it's also like, well, even if we are going to give you the data, you need to understand like what you want to do with it, right? Thirdly, clean up your data, get a good CRM, figure out like how to, the rate plans, the 300 rate plans, get rid of them. Like this is not going to work for the next years.
You don't like the rate plans, so
No,
that we
no,
know. That
no.
we know now.
No, exactly. But and then of course, choose your providers wisely. Choose them wisely for where you're going to go. I really do think as well that new businesses coming up will have much more facilitation. Why? Because they start from zero. Hotels that have been there for a long time might have much more difficulty. Why? Because of course you have like tapped into like analytics to certain points to actually get this information out. And I think also then there's one last thing is educate your staff if needed, like whenever it's actually needed. Because I often see we're trying to like kind of do a workaround because we need this type of analytics there, and that's not good. Like we tech providers have been thinking most of the time of these use cases, and we're happy to tell you how to do this in the best way, but don't try and figure it out yourself, because often you end up then with a huge mess, and that's going to be really difficult for you in the long run to get out the data, to use it for the whole agents, and so on. But as said, it would have been too much for my parents' hotel. Like even when I look at my mom and see like how she has been handling this, I think she would have gotten Simone or Alex as well to look at this together.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's not because we're trying to sell anything, but it's very hard. Like and I was a general manager for a long time. You know, I work in hotels for a long time. You don't have the time to understand what's going on. It's impossible. Like, and you know, we have a very similar life. We wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning. I work my first email at 12 because I spend 5-6 hours just understanding what's going on, talking to providers, talking to companies under NDAs. We know what is happening next year. We cannot tell you, but we know. And the thing you need to focus on, tech stack, MCP, okay? All the rest, forget about it. Chatbot, you will find a billion ChatGPT wrappers here. You don't need a freaking chatbot, okay? You need to clean up your tech stack. You need to understand what MCP is. Am I right? Okay. So we're almost at the end. Final question, AI, opportunity or risk? What is your philosophical answer to that? Opportunity. Oh, wow, a lot of enthusiasts. Very good. Risk. I will go with risk. Do you go with risk?
No.
You go
Yeah,
with risk?
of course.
Totally go with risk. Totally go with risk, guys. It's look. I agree with the founder of OpenAI when he says that artificial intelligence will probably destroy humanity, but in the meantime, we will have a lot of fun. So my philosophy in life now is just to have a lot of fun up until AI will destroy us. Would you agree?
Yeah, we just like gotta give it some time. So
Yeah,
let's
yeah,
make
yeah.
that time longer when we are
Yeah.
fun, and then, well, life's life.
Yeah, maybe we have another 20 years. So thank you so much, guys. We were Swiss, very good. So we got 5 minutes. See, great. I got a little present for you. Basically, if you scan this QR code, you can get my books for free. The publisher will not be very happy about that. I hacked it myself because I think books needs to be stolen. They don't have to be both. And I'm not getting any penny out of these books anyway. So just please download. And if you find a book with my name on, steal it. And if they catch you, just tell, the author told me to do it. It's fine. I have that. It's not a big problem. Okay? And last thing is how to get in touch with these people. So, Romy, lobbyai.io is the website. What is the best place to get in touch with you?
Well, lobbyai.io, or connect with me on LinkedIn, of course. And yeah, I think just pressing on the button, basically, contact us form. We are very responsive. Within an hour, you get someone.
Well, the AI is very responsive. The AI is replying the emails. If it's not replying, you got a problem. Alessio, what is the best way to get in touch with you?
Well, you can go on Elijah, and you can either find our email addresses, both like mine, Alex, and Simone's, or you can connect with us on LinkedIn. Personally, I prefer emails.
Very good. And if you want to stay in touch with me, you go on simoneporto.com. You will go on a link tree, and I'm pretty much everywhere. So LinkedIn is usually the best way to get in touch. I reply to everybody very slowly, but I do reply to everybody. Like, if you know me, you know. So thank you very much, guys, for your time.
Thank you.
It was very good. And we got a few minutes left. So I don't know if you got any question now that we got, we don't have time? We do have time?
No, we do. So there are 11 questions within Mentimeter. It was showing in a bubble there. So we should check it out.
Oh, let me check.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We have 11 questions from the public.
Okay, very good. So let me go. Can you click on that little balloon or I come there?
Like on the right.
No, because I think this is the people.
Yeah, it could be either here or remotely, too.
Or you can fax, ask. No, this is an answer. Well, let's make it the old way. Do you have any question, especially for Romy and Alessio? They are here, they're valuable.
Okay. Do you think the AI is like a bubble, like the .com one that is one day, I don't know, in 2 or 3 years will explode, or it will continue to grow and with its trend like now? Because for what I see is the same thing as the .com, that it grew, and it exploded at some point. So what do you think about it?
So I did read quite a lot into this. Funny enough, when a bubble is there, normally it's already too late and it already bursted, right? So this is one way of thinking. I just came back from San Francisco. I was at TechCrunch, one of the biggest tech fairs. And I really have to say, there is a lot of, sorry to say this, shit startups and things where you're like, what is happening? And there is a lot of money being poured into things, into young startups where you see that there is actually not really any value behind it. So I do see that there is there's too much supply and they are not solving real pain points. However, I think the ones which are solving a pain points are actually really going far away from we are AI agents, because what they're trying to do is really automate work. And I think you should look out for those companies who are trying to solve real pressing problems. And but in itself, I don't know where this whole economy will go, of course, but I do think that to a certain extent there is a small bubble in itself, yes.
If I may add, the dot-com bubble actually made it possible for the internet to work. So it was a bubble. Like, if you're asking me, should I invest my money in this AI startup? I will tell you no. Like, I can tell you, and I'm pretty sure I'm not mistaken, you get around here, you talk to 100 AI companies, probably all of them will not be here next year. All of them. I have a very strong opinion on that, and I can tell you that if the question is, should I put my money, investing my money in Mickey Mouse company that is a ChatGPT wrapper, I will tell you no. Will AI completely change the way we live and operate like the internet did? Absolutely, yes. So I think it's from a financial standpoint, you're totally right. From a behavioral point of view, you're totally wrong.
Yeah, if I may, Simone, that's exactly it. Like, the biggest company in AI at the moment is OpenAI. The valuation of OpenAI is astronomical. The revenues that OpenAI pulls by paying for ChatGPT on one side and paying for API tokens on the other side is not nothing. It's a few billions now, but it's very, very small. And all these companies, they grow and they stay afloat just because they keep on getting investments. So I personally believe that they are seriously, the whole field is overinflated. The valuations are ridiculous. But that's like the business side of things. The technological side of things, I believe that's here to stay. It will probably go in a different way. It will not be the driver and end of it all. It will not solve like a war hunger, but I believe it's here to stay.
Okay, guys, thank you so much. We're around if you want to ask questions, especially to them. I will not answer any question anymore. Ciao, ciao.